Hey there, this is Susan with Colorful Expressions. Today is Dephemerember Day 10, prompt number 10, flip out page and old photos. Dephemerember is a challenge hosted by Louise Heinzel and Barbara of 49 Dragonflies. Today's prompt is flip out page and old photos. And look what I have. These are all photographs from the 1940s. They are of my family. Actually, specifically, they are from my grandmother, Oma and Opa, in Germany. They met in Berlin before World War II and got married during World War II and had my mother during World War II. It was quite a story, actually. And I have all of these photos. That's their wedding photo, and they have pictures of themselves. Strangely enough, I have very few photos from my American side of the family this old, but they were dirt farmers, and I think photography was just too much of a luxury. Either that or it went to someone else in the family. Anyway, I am not going to tape, glue, or otherwise mutilate my family photos. However, I did take pictures of them and up the contrast a little bit and made some copies. So I'll be using these for my flip out page today. And these will go back into my photo box. So it took me a while to choose which ones I wanted to use. So I chose their wedding photo, their baby photo with mom. Mom was an only child. There's Oma by herself and Opa. And then there they are together in front of a Christmas tree. And I made a larger copy of their wedding photo. And I had a frame that this actually came from, it was a gallery invitation, and that I just received a couple of weeks ago. And I cut out the middle, and I'm going to use this as the frame and as part of the flip out. We're going to flip this out, flip it over, and put some of the smaller photos underneath. So that's the plan today. And today I'll be working on one of my resume paper signatures. It kind of matches the color of the frame, actually, a little bit. So I thought I had printed this small enough to have a white border, but apparently my printer had other ideas. So, well, I'm just going to draw around it and then tear it off a little bit smaller. Now, my grandparents met each other in the 30s. They dated for a very long time. They knew that the war was coming, and they kept waiting, and then the war got there, and then they kept thinking, surely it'll be over soon. Surely it'll be over soon. And they kept waiting, and then in 1941, they finally just decided to get married anyway. And pretty much as soon as they did, Oma got pregnant, and he was finally drafted into the German army. He had a heart condition that kept him from going, and but he was drafted pretty much when Hitler was really desperate for desperate for bodies, and he really didn't care what shape they were in. So Opa was sent first to France and then to the Russian front. And since he was a barber by trade, he was actually put in a medical support position, because back then barbers did a lot more than just cut hair. They also pulled teeth and did some minor medical things. And so he didn't have to see much combat. My American grandfather worked at an ice house in Columbus, Ohio, and that was considered essential services. So he did not have to be drafted. Now, World War II was supported 100% by the draft, but Grandpa was not going to volunteer if he didn't have to. All right. We have our frame, and then I'm going to put the backing on this out of the same paper. We'll also make it a little more sturdy. The frame is cardstock, but the paper is just regular printer paper. I need to get some heavier pound paper for this journaling. Anyway, so Oma was pregnant during the blitzes in Berlin. Their building, at one of his times that he had leave, their building was bombed. And that night, when the air raid sirens went off, Opa went to the basement, and Oma was like, I am not going to spend the night in the basement one more night. And so she stayed in her third-story apartment. I think this was before they were married, because they were in separate apartments still. They lived in the same building. And she woke up, and the roof had caved in, and one of the walls was laying across her bed. Probably knocked her out. And Opa was in the basement, and it took the rescue teams as long to get him out of the basement as it did to get her off of the top of the roof. A bomb had gone off on the sidewalk right next to the building in the middle of the night. Had been dropped. So and then after they got married and he was gone, she was working at C&A. It's C&A, it was a high-end department store. And her job was kind of a personal shopper, personal assistant. If you've ever watched an old movie where the ladies are bringing out the models to show you the latest clothing, and it's like people basically tried on the dresses for you, and then the clothes were altered to fit you. So you could choose whatever and it would fit you. But also that personal assistant was there to make sure you made the right choice for your body type and everything. So that was her position. And one day when she was headed to work, her store was bombed and destroyed, and her boss allowed her to go home early. She was already 6 months pregnant, but she was expected to work until a couple of weeks before, or who knows, up to the day of delivery. So she headed home, which was in what is now Czechoslovakia. She comes from Southeast Germany, or the Southeast Austro-Hungarian Empire. It was part of Germany at the time. He was Plattdeutsch, which is an area that is now Poland. So neither one of their home countries exist. She came from the province of Bohemia. My mother was born in Bohemia, which makes me part Bohemian. I guess 1/4. Well, something like that. 1/4 Bohemian. So I'm going to simply use clear tape. I know that's not the greatest, but no, I can fold something on this side to make it as a tip in or a flip in or something. I keep forgetting what it's called. I'm going to center it. Okay. So I just recently found I think it was a total of 6 photo boxes at the thrift store. They were $2 a piece. And if you know, at Michael's, the regular price is something like $14. So I bought every one they had. And my photos were stored all over the place in old shoe boxes, in old cardboard boxes, which aren't really very, it's this side, which aren't very conducive to, they're not very archival. As a matter of fact, I think some of ours were damaged because my family had just shoved them into whatever. But my really old photos, like the ones from the 40s, are in really good shape. It's the photos from the 70s where they were experimenting with all different kinds of techniques and that are a real big mess. They're just not in good shape at all. Some of them are extremely faded. Most of them are extremely faded. They've changed color or yellowed. But as you can see, the old photos, they're just as clear as they were when they were taken. This one has some writing on it. But other than that, see, she's on the ferry. There's a big old lake in the middle of Berlin. And so a lot of my stuff was, my later stuff from my childhood was damaged. And I mean, they didn't know. Also, those sticky photo albums, that ruined a lot of pictures. Most of our stuff was in those sticky albums. And a couple of years ago, I took them all out. And as much as I could, some of them were so damaged that I couldn't remove the photo. The cool thing about digital is, store your files. You can always just make a new copy. And Walmart printing is super cheap. If you want a very good copy, take it to Walmart. I have a picture of my parents. They must be on vacation or something, and it looks amazing. And I need to make a copy for my brother. He has a copy of it too, but his is damaged for whatever reason. It has a scratch on it. So I'm going to make a really good copy of mine, which is not damaged. And okay. And give it to him. All right. Well, it's not exactly centered. Come on. There we go. Okay, here we go. And it just needs to dry. And then I will decorate the inside. I've got some cardstock that I may line the inside with to strengthen this signature as well, and also to hide the tip in. Okay, I found some paper. I have this Paper Studio cardstock. I've got only 2 of these. This one is mostly tan with a lot of writing, good background images. It's kind of a family tree theme, which is appropriate. My other one is gray, shades of gray. But they're my 2 basically neutral backdrops. All right, I'm going to glue this down here, and then we're going to put some of the pictures on top of that. I'm just going to use my glue stick. So anyway, Oma was pregnant during World War II. She was sent home to Czechoslovakia region to have the baby. Mom was born in 1943 in July or June, late June. Her birthday's a little bit after mine. I also am a June baby. And shortly after that, the Germans lost the war, and they were relocated to central Germany. And Oma lost every member of her family except for her younger sister in the span of maybe 2 years. Her brother was in France, and he died in France. And when her father found out about it, he had a stroke. And then when they were being relocated to Germany, they had to do some central Germany from what is now Czechoslovakia, from Bohemia. Her mother, they had to do some berry picking and, very manual labor. And her mother died on the way to central Germany. And so she lost 3 members in very quick succession. Opa's family were in northern Germany, and I don't know a lot about them. They did not really say much. What I'm going to do is put Mom's picture right there on the inside flap. And I'll probably do some journaling and fill in some dates, whatever I know. I actually don't even know their wedding date. I think I have it written down, but it would be in a journal somewhere. I have no idea where. And but Mom was born June 27th, 1943. So they were married sometime in 42 or 41. I know they weren't married for very long before he got drafted. I love these photos. And he's one handsome devil. I have a picture, a close-up photo of him, a bigger one. And he looks like a combination of Gregory Peck and Cary Grant. And Opa was one of the kindest men. He is still the kindest man I've ever met. Oma, not so much. That's a whole nother story. But they had quite a crazy courtship. They knew each other for, I don't know, 10 years. They didn't get married. They just stayed in the same apartment complex. And I'm pretty sure there were some shenanigans going on between those two out of wedlock. We're talking Berlin in the Cabaret days, if you've ever seen that movie. All right. So here we go. There's the front page of a signature with a flip out and family photos. Old photos, vintage photos. Photoshop, or at least my program, did a great job. This was a fairly faded and small photo's only about that big, the original. And I was able to sharpen it, darken it, and make it a little bit bigger. I love these. So that is prompt number 10. Join me tomorrow for mini pocket letter and specimen. And I will have to figure out something for a specimen. So there it is, day 10 of Dephemerember. Thank you.